Hi everybody, welcome to our Energize video to support Mental Health Awareness Week. I've asked my colleagues, Joe and Christina, who are both huge mental health champions, to discuss people they know and who are recognising the benefits of being active to achieve good mental health. So without further ado, I shall hand over to Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Susie. And I thought it would be a brilliant place to start just by giving a little bit of background of kind of who we are and what our roles are within the organisation. So, Christina, do you want to start and just give a bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I work on a project called Elevate, which is a project for over 60s to help with their strength and balance to reduce the risk of falling. I'm a personal trainer and a specialist in a few different areas, so medical conditions. That's my interest. I'm really keen to know a little bit more about how mental health impacts on my groups as well. So I do a lot of work with physical activity and mental health. I work as a clinical hypnotherapist and a mindfulness teacher and a life coach as well. So I do a lot on that side of things, and the fitness side also comes into it because it's a natural progression into dealing with people's mental health.
Perfect. And I'm Joe. I run the Satellite Clubs program at Energize, and all of our satellite clubs are targeting vulnerable young people. So people who have been struggling to manage their mental health. We've kind of seen how activity can have a massive impact on that. And outside of work as well, I also run a boxing club, which we do have a mental health support session and support group there. And you're going to find out a little bit about Christina's support group for mental health as well. So firstly, Christina, obviously you said about your role and kind of what it is that you're doing, and you've seen a lot of mental health barriers and mental health issues. What impact have you seen physical activity having on mental health?
So the group that I work with, which is on a Monday night, we started off and people were coming in a little bit nervous. I'd spoken to them beforehand to make it into a nice welcoming environment. But now we're a good few months on and they're staying physically active. We have our online chats at the moment, which is great. We do some exercise online, but people are feeling more positive. They're feeling supported. Their confidence has increased. They're sleeping better, and they just love doing the exercise. So the groups have had just brilliant effects on people.
Brilliant. And do you think, I think we've got a few quotes as well that we've got from some of the groups that we're both running. Do you think that the word togetherness, that they're actually coming together to support with each other as well, and they've all been through that journey, do you think that plays a big impact?
Yeah, massively. I think it's the fact that they can go into a group and feel supported. It's non-judgmental. If they're having a bad day, then it's okay to not be okay. They feel safe, just as that slide says. And just being part of a group that knows what each other's going through and will support each other, it's just really empowering for them. So yeah, it really does have such a massive benefit for them. Being part of a group, we know that group activities can play a huge role in mental health.
Yeah, I really like that what you said there, the word empowering as well. I think with the groups that I've been involved with, it's a lot of people will say, I understand, I know what's happening, and I support. But actually having people that are going through that and have been through that themselves, they do really understand and they know exactly how they can support, and they do feel empowered by the words that I suppose you talk to them about and other people have told them about, to actually support other people. And I think when you're looking at someone else's mental health issues as well, you kind of seeing yours as almost without the emotion in it. You're actually able to advise it without as much emotion, because you're supporting someone else, which can help you take that advice. And I think it's really, really powerful to be able to work as a group, supporting all each other to get to the right places.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when we first started working together on my groups, you'd said that your group has a WhatsApp group that they use, and that's exactly what I set up with mine. and just coming together as groups. So even if they're not exercising, just that chat to say, yeah, I haven't had a great day today. All the others just rally round, and it's like they've got each other's backs. They lift them up when they're down, and they say, well, yeah, I had a bad day the other day, but I did this, that, and the other, and I feel better now. They come together, they do other activities as well, like signed up for colour runs and things like that. So it's fun, it's supportive. Again, it's non-judgmental. It really does lift them all up when they're not feeling great. And sometimes if I've had a busy day and I'm a bit tired and not feeling great myself, I kind of read what the WhatsApp group have experienced and the advice they've given each other, and it really does ring true, and it just lifts you up as well.
Yeah, and what you said there is perfect. And I don't know if it's the same with your group, but the word you use, empowering, I'm guessing with the colour runs, they're organising that themselves, and they find out that's when the runs themselves, because without they've been doing the park run every Saturday, and I've had nothing to do with the park run. They're actually going out there through the WhatsApp group and organising it all themselves, which is really good.
Yeah. It's lovely to see, isn't it? It's lovely to hear what they're doing, and even if it's just going for a walk, one of them reaches out and says, oh, I've just had a really rubbish day today, and one of the others might just turn around and say, do you fancy going for a walk? And that's just lovely, because you know that they're going to get some fresh air, they're going to get their hearts beating a little bit faster, and really feel all those lovely endorphins, and have a chat and feel supported as well. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Definitely, and just on this quote here, the group have made me feel so welcome to the point where I'm finally finding fitness fun. How have you done that with your group? How have you made that group feel welcome? How have you made it such a welcome environment, or how have the participants made it such a welcoming environment? Because I know quite a big thing within sport is people go to their first sport session, they don't feel welcome, and they'll drop out and have a bad experience in that sport, even as a child, and that will affect them taking part in that sport for the rest of their life, really.
Yeah, and when I started the group, obviously had people sort of reaching out saying that they wanted to start the session, and it was just reassuring them that if they were having a bad day, still to turn up, because they could just sit it out. It didn't matter, because they were with a group that understood. And when we started the session, we kind of went round, and it's probably the worst bit for everyone, where they do a little bit of an introduction, and just, they don't have to say too much. They don't have to say anything if they don't want to. But that was really nice, because they got to know each other. We did some little group activities. We kept it nice and light. And I've experienced mental health difficulties myself, so I explain that so that I get it, although we go through different things and we don't know exactly what each other's going through. We've got a rough idea, and we just made it really, really light-hearted, and we did silly games, we did some silly warm-ups, we laughed when we got it wrong, and it just didn't matter. There wasn't any pressure to get it right. If somebody didn't feel like doing something, or they felt uncomfortable about doing something, that was fine. They could either sit it out, or they could do something else. But we just had this one really makes me laugh, because we had a session on Monday, a Zoom session with my group, and at the end we were literally crying with laughter, because it was lovely just to get back together again. But it's just made to be a lot of fun, and we kind of laugh over things that we've done, or the things that we find a challenge, and it's just really nice and supportive. So yeah, we always make sure that we end the sessions on a high, and that everyone's feeling good, and it's just lovely. It really is lovely.
And I think that a fitness environment is almost quite a daunting environment to come into, isn't it? So I can understand, especially people that have got a lot of anxiety, to actually come into there, and especially with boxing or American football or rugby, some of the sports I've worked with, you have to be perceived to be a strong person to actually take part in it, and that's just the stigma that's attached to it. You don't actually need to be, and it's about how you can make that fitness environment, that boxing environment, that rugby environment welcoming for someone who is anxious, and how you can make it as if they can walk through that door, and the second they do, that they're glad they did.
Yeah, yeah, and I think if ever you, like, you've probably experienced it, where you get a new person starting a session, and the rest of the group know immediately that that is going to be the hardest thing that that person's going to do, is just taking that step through the door. And as soon as they've taken that step through the door, that's it, it's over with. They're fine, because people welcome them, they support them, they've got each other's back immediately, and the stigma of mental health goes out the window, the stigma of sport or exercise goes out the window. It's just a really comfortable, supportive environment for people. And it's nice because when people go to a gym, sometimes they find it quite daunting. But it's nice now because we've got people into exercise and they feel more comfortable to go into a gym. They feel empowered, like we keep saying, to go and make that step, because it's not a scary environment when they've just done it that once. And it's just getting over that initial hurdle. So whatever we can do as coaches to make that a more comfortable experience for that person is just the biggest thing that we can do.
Definitely, and I think that some of the biggest impact I've had has been with people that would not necessarily ever take part in that sport, or would necessarily not be doing that sport at all. They're not active at all. They're quite worried about taking part in activity. And I think because it's a mental health specific group, it is just for people who struggle to manage their mental health. I think that really helps introduce them to a sport. Whereas if a club was to say, right, you know, we're open, we're welcoming for that, that's brilliant. But having that specific session does really help them. And I think that brings me on to this quote: it's great to know you're not alone, because they're coming to that session for the mental health aspect, not the sport aspect a lot of the time. Whereas this actually, you can add the sport to it, and they can see how beneficial it can be to their mental health.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we know that there's like some really strong research to say that you know, how exercise does impact us mentally in a positive way. So I mean, even just by exercising, it just increases our heart rate, the oxygen flows to the brain, we release those lovely happy hormones and chemicals that go flowing through the body, and it is good for our minds, but it also really improves our confidence and just makes us feel good generally to take part.
Definitely. I think this next one was a quote from someone in your group, and what I wanted to pick up on with that quote was really put the focus into the sport, which was the start of me taking my life back. How can sport or exercise give that focus, and how is that beneficial to the mental health, to them actually improving and taking ownership of their mental health?
So I think when people have got a focus and it makes them feel good, there's nothing about that makes them feel bad. That's just, it's really such a powerful thing, and it helps them to then change other things in their life. So say for example, it's boxing. People want to, they enjoy it, they enjoy the benefits, and they want to do simple things like take on a bit more water so they're hydrated. They want to eat better so that they can take part in that activity and a little bit better. And it has such a knock-on effect with everything. They enjoy the release of those happy hormones that I've spoken about, and the chemicals that go around the body that make us feel good. But it also helps them invest in other things around that sport. So it might start off as boxing, but they might think, well, actually, to improve my fitness, I'm going to do a bit of running as well. And then that leads on to, like you said, the park run, which the psychosocial benefit of that is just wonderful. They might start doing other things. They might feel that actually I'm tensing up a bit, so I'll try a bit of yoga as well. So that's going to impact on their mental health, just helping them be more mindful. And it just has such a knock-on effect in so many different areas that it just allows them to take that control back of their life instead of feeling like they're out of control. And it helps their concentration, like I said before, it helps them sleep, and it helps with their motivation for everything in life.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think it's just a lot of people think, okay, exercise is good because the endorphins and everything like that, but it's so much more than that. I mean, that quote there, talking about giving focus to their life. I've had people that have said, it's the first time they've achieved something, or first time that they've had structure and goals to actually work towards. I think there's so many more benefits, and it can really, I've seen people completely turn their lives around in some of the sessions that we've run, because not just because the endorphins being released, because of everyone there supporting them and everything else that exercise brings.
Yeah.
And I think
that's absolutely right.
Yeah, I think on the next side, I use my past to make me stronger. I've found, I don't know if it's similar to you, that a lot of people that come along to the sessions, they sometimes start with a bit of almost a mentality that their past has labelled them as something, or they feel like almost a victim. And it's using the sport to change that mindset. So their actually past doesn't make them a victim at all. Their past makes them so much stronger. Being able to get through that and get through whatever is that's been causing the problems and actually take control is incredible, and it makes them such a stronger person. I'm guessing that's what you've really empowered people to do in your sessions, and how you've used your story and other people's story within the session to be able to really focus and show them that regardless of what they've been through, they can still achieve some amazing things.
Yeah, and I think that's I think when people have hit their rock bottom and they've felt incredibly low, whether it's living with depression, anxiety, PTSD, a range of different mental health issues, when they've hit that, it sucks. It does not feel good at all. So to be able to then take the control back and start to do exercise that makes them feel good, that makes them feel in control, and to work through it. And actually, I've had people, like, if they're feeling anxious, it's like, right, okay, well, let's look at that. Wonder why we're feeling anxious today, and what have we done before to overcome that? How have we made it better? And they look back on things that they've done and other people have done, and just to get them to a better place where they're more in control, and they do feel stronger because they are mentally, they've lived through hell, and then they've got through the other side, and they know that they can feel better just by going to that boxing session, just by taking that walk with their friends, going to a fun fitness group. They can feel better, and that allows them to be more in control and not sort of leaving their past behind, just acknowledging it, but actually dealing with it in a much more helpful way. Instead of being caught up with it, they can take a step back from it and view it as if they were an onlooker, and deal with it in a lot more rational approach than what they have done previously, because they didn't have the tools to do it previously.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what you said there was perfect. I think I've read a book by David Goggins, who's an athlete who struggled with his mental health as well. And I think he calls it a cookie jar. Every time he's been through something bad and he's got through it, he stores that memory in what he calls his cookie jar. Whenever he's going through something bad in the future, it helps him get through it. When he's running his marathons or ultra runs or anything, he's constantly saying, well, I got through this when I was a kid, and my dad used to feed me and everything like that. I can get through this. The run's the easy bit. And then he kind of changed that in the future, that actually he stored the running memories of when he was really struggling, where he's in a lot of pain, to actually help him through life situations in the future, which I think is really, really strong. And it comes back to that word belief, doesn't it? And I think if you can believe you can get through something or do something, you will be able to, and it's giving them that belief when they're not believing. It's that's when the issues happen. That brings me to this quote, really, of believing. And this is someone from my group who really struggles with their belief, and I too myself have struggled to believe in myself in the past. And I've always said we respond to our perceptions of life, not life itself. And what sport has given me is that knowledge that whatever you believe in will happen. If I walk into a boxing ring and I think I'm going to lose, I will lose. If I can believe in myself, I'm probably going to win or do a lot better than if I didn't. And having that coach there to believe in you and show you can do it, and having other people around you in a group to support you and believe in you really supports. And is that something you really push in your sessions as well, that belief?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's definitely that positive thinking, and if that person can't think positively in that session, the rest of the group have got their back and they're thinking positively for them. So they're bigging them up. They're saying, no, you've got this, you can do this, you know, you're fine, you're fine today, you can do this, we believe in you. And then eventually they start to believe it. They start to believe themselves that, yeah, actually I've got this, I can do this, and I'm surrounded with a group of people who really do believe in me, and I can achieve anything if I put my mind to it. And then, you know, if they do get someone that says otherwise, they don't care anymore, because they know that they've got so many people that back them up, including their coach, to say, you can do this, you are going to do it, it's fine, you're going to be okay.
And that's it. That's the role of a coach. I think a sports coach can be so much more than just a sports coach. The sports coach has the power, even with young people especially, as seen as the role model, to absolutely change someone's life. I can still remember some of the things that my coach said to me when I was a kid that's helped me out now. And I think that's a really key thing. If the coach can believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself, sometimes you've still got that to back up on. When you do get people, and you will get people saying they don't believe in you, you can relate back to that sport and that time that coach believed you, or on that exercise that coach believed in you, and you prove them wrong. And I think that's really powerful.
It's so important.
I think this is someone from your group as well that posted this quote. As my fitness has improved, I've really noticed my mood is lifted and I feel better equipped to cope. So just explain how has that fitness improving helped lift their moods?
Before, they were quite sedentary. They felt anxious, depressed, and just didn't know where to start. But then as soon as they started coming to the groups, it was literally just that trigger to go, oh, actually, yeah, I can do this, and I can start to get fit again. We spent about an hour and a half, 2 hours in the first session, a bit of chat, some activities, and just some goals to focus on in that week, nothing too heavy. And it just spiraled from there. And it just snowballed, where they started that one fitness session. They had their WhatsApp group, so you know, they were having the social benefit. They started their fitness journey. They felt those endorphins being released. They all the benefits of those, and then they started doing other things. They started walking a bit more. They started doing some runs, and they started their journey to making themselves feel much better and continuing that. And now, because they've got the skills, we talk about quite a few things in the session. So whether it's about mindfulness or unhelpful thinking, we go through lots of different things, and now they've got strategy, they've got the tools there that they need to cope in certain situations. The group is really such a safe group and so supportive that they feel that they can share almost the most uncomfortable and embarrassing things for them and not be judged, not be discriminated against, but just open up completely and know that they've got people around them that can offer a bit of advice or guidance. And even if they don't take any of that advice or guidance, just the feeling of knowing that they've been listened to and they've got people that just like them for being them is just brilliant. So they are feeling a lot better, and it's nice to see that they're staying active and taking a lot from these sessions.
And you picked up on something really key there. You said they can share their experiences, they can share what's going on. And it says here about someone's put the quote on here about sharing similar experiences. In today's world, a lot of people are obsessed with being the perfect person. You'll see it all on social media, and everyone kind of compares themselves to people they see on there. In a sports world, it's very similar, that on a lot of sports pages, they often only post about their wins, their celebrations, what's been happening. And a lot of sports that I'm working with have actually started to put on there, you know, a lot of their losses and what's gone wrong there. And I think I've seen in our mental health groups that when people are starting to share their vulnerabilities, their flaws, that's when it's really encouraging for more people to talk. So my question really is why is it important for your group to be able to share their experiences, and why is it important for you to share your journey with the group as well?
So one of the things that just firstly stands out about this one was from my own personal experience, I had 4 family bereavements in the space of 6 months, and it was absolutely horrendous. And so I decided to do a 100k trek in memory of my stepdad. And because we kept getting all these bereavements, it just seemed to be like, what on earth is going on, one after another. And my training really suffered to be able to do that trek, but I carried on. I was even admitted into hospital 3 weeks before with a suspected heart attack, which was just a nightmare. So you're going to have to release me from hospital, because I'm doing a 100k trek for the British Heart Foundation in 3 weeks, ironically. And anyway, cut a long story short, I went to do the trek. So it's a 24-hour trek, and because I hadn't trained as much as I wanted to, I ended up with in so much pain. I lost my big toenail. I had a blister under my toenail. It was about 4 in the morning. I was in absolute agony, and I'd raised loads of money already, but I really wanted to complete this trek, because I just thought, I want to make people proud. Otherwise I'm going to fail at doing this. Anyway, it got to the point I was being sick, and I was in so much pain that I just couldn't continue to do the trek. So I gave up, and I sent, because I was keeping everyone updated on Facebook, and I said, I can't do any more. That's it. I quit. I failed everyone, and I was so hard on myself. I was horrible to myself. And so I got home. I cried all the way home, like hysterically cried. I think a lot of that was bereavement as well. And I got back home, turned my phone back on to find that I'd actually raised hundreds and hundreds more pounds, because people believed in me. They were kind. They saw that I pushed myself to my absolute limits, and it was just like, what on earth? I've raised more money from quitting this than I have from actually doing the rest of the trek. Like, what on earth's going on? And it was then where I just thought, God, do you know what? If you're giving it everything, and you've tried, and you're doing this at a time that's really hard, people really respect that. And one of the things that I bring into my groups is kindness, and not just to other people, but largely to themselves, because we are horrible to ourselves. We will say, I failed at this, I'm not perfect. I mean, perfection's a form of self-abuse, in my opinion. Nobody's going to be perfect. We're all individual, and we've all got different things that go on with ourselves, and it doesn't matter. We don't have to be that person on Instagram that's got perfect hair and the perfect body, because half the time it's a filter. And we often beat ourselves up about this. So we learn how to be kindly to ourselves, and we do acts of kindness for other people as well, which also takes the attention off what's going on in our own world, but it also makes us feel good because we're helping other people as well. And kindness is just the best thing that anyone could do for themselves and for other people. And we've found it so many times in the groups that when we're feeling a bit down, how are we speaking to ourselves? are we beating ourselves up unnecessarily, and are we being cruel to ourselves? And it really does work when we do change our mindset and we start to be a little bit kinder to ourselves and take the pressure off.
Yeah, I think that's the key word, kindness, isn't it? And I think this this mental health awareness week, that's the key theme, kindness. And since you actually mentioned about the kind of random acts of kindness that you've got your group doing, we started doing it in our group, and I got some of the satellite clubs to do it in theirs, and it's incredible. I did a bit of research on it as well, and they said one random act on kindness can actually spread to 125 different people throughout the day. Because when they have a random act of kindness, they're more likely to do it themselves. And we've seen why it's nice to do that, and people think that, yeah, that's going to benefit the other person. You're right with what you say. It benefits you so much. It's almost selfish to be kind because of that feeling you get, which I think is incredible.
Yeah, it's just a lovely thing to do, isn't it? And we had some lovely things go on in our sessions, and things that people would report back with. So how did you get on with your session? What kind of things did you see come out of it?
It was brilliant. We had people doing as little things, which was as little as holding the door open and things like that. To one person said they saw someone drop a £5 out their pocket and walked off, and they just literally picked it up and give them and said, "Excuse me, sir, you've dropped a £5" and all that. And we had some big ones. We had one person that didn't know what to do, and it was getting the last day, and he wanted something to report back on. He was sat in Costa thinking about what he could do, and he put some change on the counter. And the next person that came in got it and bought themselves a coffee with that change. And it's mad. You can have anything like that until one person wrote his mother a handwritten letter, and she loved that. And you know, it's massive to see when they're actually talking about it in that next session, how much that meant to them. You could just see it from the expressions on their face that something as little as that can just go so far. And I think that's the key thing, that sport doesn't have to be all about the activity and everything involved in it. You can do little things throughout the sessions, like even just a 10-minute chat like that makes one feel so comfortable in talking about what's happened, what they've done with kindness. That isn't normally associated with some of the sports that I'm working with, but changing that makes it so much more inclusive and can really have a massive impact on someone's life, can't it?
Yeah, it does. And you know, you see it in your groups, I see it in my groups, that when you get a group of people that just want to help and support each other and offer kindness in so many different ways, it can change their lives so much. It really can. And yeah, it's key, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, at the start of this webinar, Susie introduced us as mental health champions, and while you've got a lot of mental health background and great experience, I still feel that anyone in the community, anyone who runs a sports club or a sports session, can be a champion for mental health. They can, and I think, is it worth just kind of saying how sports clubs can actually go about changing what they're doing and starting up sessions about how they can become a mental health champion, how they can kind of get and receive the benefits that we've seen from their participants?
Yeah, I mean, but what I did with mine when I started, I mean, you don't need to have any kind of fancy sports club to be able to start off in. But we work from a youth and community building that's actually just getting knocked down at the moment, so we should have a nice new one to go to. You just need a room. And if you've got a few bits of equipment, brilliant, that's great. But the biggest thing is just making it a really welcoming environment and allowing people to talk, allowing people to share their experiences, and helping them to understand that this isn't going to go out of the room. This stays with this little group. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to laugh at you. You're completely accepted in this group, and just to embrace everyone that comes through the door, just make it really, really accessible for absolutely everyone, and let them know they're welcome, and that, you know, as soon as someone walks through the door, they go over to meet them and say hi and smile, and that's all they need to do. And just to allow the rest of the group as well just to almost take charge to a certain extent. I mean, I run the sessions and I'll give them different ideas to work on. But it's actually the group that's the champions. I don't consider myself to be that champion. They're all helping each other. I just give them a few ideas and they do the rest. They're the ones that do the work and help each other and support each other. So yeah, I think it's very easy to do. You've just got to be kind and to make those sessions really positive, and make sure that you make it fun as well, and that people do have a bit of a laugh and a joke as well, and it's not serious. Nobody's going to get told off if they don't do that amount of burpees or whatever. It doesn't matter, because they might not feel like it that day, and they can sit it out as well if they want to. They might just fancy coming along just to be there because they don't feel like training on that day, and that's all right. It doesn't matter.
It is kind of like a facilitator role, isn't it, rather than actually a champion role, or even just that coach role, which I think a lot of coaches have the skills to be able to do. And I suppose if they don't, we have got some free places on mental health courses as well that anyone can access if they get in touch. And also, I know people are thinking now, what about the cost of the rooms and everything like that? Well, we've actually got access. We can help people access some funding for different sessions if they're looking to target mental health and looking to support people through that, using exercise as well, which we said is really key. So obviously with the time we're in now, we're seeing like a really big spike in people struggling with mental health and supporting. I know that you're going the extra mile and actually phoning up and ringing people and speaking to them to see how they're doing. Why is this an important time for that, and what massive advantages have you seen by actually ringing people and speaking to them? How can people support others now during this time?
So a lot of the group that most of the phone calls that I've been doing have been with older people, because we know that they're the biggest group that are very isolated. But that phone call just means so much to them. It gives them that social interaction. Sometimes they're doing their exercises, sometimes they're not, and that's okay. We're not there to sort of tell them off. We explain the benefits of it, and if they can do it, then great. And we see it goes up and down every week with how people are feeling. With a mental health group, we've been doing our Zoom sessions as well, so people are still chatting. If somebody's struggling that day, they'll perhaps send a WhatsApp over to people, and they're there to support each other. So it hasn't stopped over this period. It's just that we're facing really challenging times, and people are feeling alone, and these groups are helping them to not feel alone. The calls help them to not feel alone. Through Energize, we've got lots of partners that we work alongside where we can get help. We can help them to access certain charities and other groups that might be beneficial for them. So there's lots that we can do during this time, even though we're in lockdown, but we're still motivating them, we're still helping them, and we're still trying to get them active. And I've had quite a few people say, I've put on a bit of weight, and do you know what, we probably all have. We're a lot more sedentary than we would be normally. It's all right, because we will get through this, and we'll do other things to, when this is over and when it's starting to ease off, then we will be able to be a bit more active. And by doing exercise in the home, that's just such a great thing. It's just having that motivation to do it, because when we're feeling a bit low, we don't have that motivation. So by just staying part of these groups and having those phone calls, it does help people to be a bit more motivated to do the exercise.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it might just be 2 minutes to call someone, maybe do nothing for us, but for that other person at the end of the phone, it can be massively change their mood and massively change their whole outlook and perspective. And I think one of the things you said there is showing that they're not alone, and I think that's the same for everyone, even for the clubs or people we're working with now that want to make a difference, want to start. I've got to say that you're not alone as well. We're more than happy to support. Energize is more than happy to support you actually set up anything or actually support other people now. And with this time, it's focusing on what we can do, not what we can't, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And then there are so many things that we can do, and you know, we are here to support the coaches and the people that want to get into fitness. They want to help their mental health, and even if they have a Zoom session with us, they don't have to have their camera on. They can just take part anonymously, and that's okay. That's absolutely fine. We'd welcome that, because it'll get them started in exercise and just being a bit more active.
Definitely. Perfect. Is there anything I've missed out or not said there that we need that we want to really cover and explain?
I don't think so. I think I mean, one of the things that I'd highlighted is the friendship groups that have been formed from this. That's quite a big thing. Some people came into the groups that had lost perhaps their social circle, and now they've developed friendship groups, and that's been really key in getting them active and lifting their mood, improving how they're feeling as well. But no, I think you've covered it, Joe.
I think that's perfect. I think you said about the friendship groups there and how and we use words empowering. I think you've met some of the people that we're working with and how they've been empowered, and actually people have changed their been supported to support with their mental health, and now they're actually going on to support others and leading the group. You've met Stu and people like that. It's incredible how much of a knock-on effect that can have, isn't it?
Yeah, being part of that group is massive.
Perfect. Well, I think that sums us up for the session. So thank you very much, Christina, and thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you.